Professor Sandu Popescu from University of Bristol, and also from the Institute for Quantum Studies here at Chapman. I could give a very long introduction to Sandu, but in brief, just like a couple of things that maybe you don't know. He's certainly regarded as one of the world experts in quantum mechanics, and perhaps one of the most active researchers in a field called quantum information. So for you guys who just started your physics majors, you're going to learn a lot more about this. But he is famous for introducing some of the most fundamental concepts of quantum information. One has to do with the idea of non-locality or entanglement as being sort of the basic currency or resource of quantum information. So Sandu has many fundamental discoveries like that he's done. But also one of the things that's amazing about him is that he works in so many different fields in such a deep way. And so today you're going to hear about another area where he's regarded as one of the world experts, and it has to do with the foundations of thermodynamics. Anyway, I could say much more about him, but let Sandu speak.
Well, thank you very much. Well, it's always a pleasure to be here. It's really a lovely place. As far as I can see, whenever I'm here, it's very active. I really enjoy very much being here. So today I'm going to talk about a completely different issue than the ones that I was doing in general, and that is about the foundations of thermodynamics. Wonderful. Yes. So the whole story started for me a couple of years ago when one of my good friends, Untitled Chapter, came to visit me. And at that time he was asking whether or not there can be non-trivial quantum effects in biological systems. So the whole idea is that we were by then, I don't know, 15 years since the beginning of quantum information, when it was realized that by using certain quantum effects, we can have an enhanced power of computing, much bigger than any classical system would have. So at that moment, when this was realized, people started asking, perhaps biological systems can take advantage of such events. Perhaps our brains would work in that way. Perhaps that is where our power starts. So at that moment, a number of people were very enthusiastic and they said, oh, definitely yes. And perhaps local quantum effects are responsible for telepathy, let alone the fact that telepathy was never proved to exist. Perhaps free will comes from that, all kinds of things. The majority of people, however, said no, that is impossible, because all these quantum effects are notoriously sensitive to noise. The moment something interferes with them, immediately all these quantum effects are washed out. And it took many, many years where the entire community was convinced that no such non-trivial effects can exist. Of course, quantum mechanics plays a basic role in biology by giving the foundations of the entire biochemistry, but that is similar to what is going to tell you. However, when Hans visited me, we realized that in fact the intuitions people had about biology and about how unstable the quantum effects are based on more or less equilibrium situations. You know, people in life, they have to work really very hard to see quantum effects. If you would ever go to an optics lab, you will see how much they engineer, try to isolate everything. The same goes in atomic physics and everywhere. But biological systems are in fact often driven systems very far from thermal equilibrium. We have to eat, the energy in our body in order to be able to function. We are very far from being at equilibrium. In fact, I'm not looking forward to the day when I will reach thermal equilibrium myself. I hope that will be way in the future. Okay, so just playing with ideas, one of the ideas was, could, for example, biological molecules act as refrigerators? Because one way in which we can preserve quantum effects is if we cool them down. You know, when things are hot, they move around quite a lot, they bounce into each other, and all these fragile effects go away. But if we cool them, then perhaps we can preserve. So thinking of how these effects may or may not exist will raise the question, could, do you see this point? Whether biological molecules could act as refrigerators. So then I took that as a question myself. And when I was thinking of it, the first thing I realized is that I had no clue about biological molecules, let alone whether they could act as refrigerators. Incidentally, biological molecules do very funny things. It's not just that they float in solution. They may crawl, they may twist, they can act like little mechanical engines. So then it's an interesting question whether they can act as a thermal engine. Okay, but the point is, I realized that I actually know nothing about biological molecules. Okay, so what do you do when you know nothing about the subject of this? Well, the first thing is you go to the library or to the internet, get a good book, study everything about it, and go forward. But that's a possibility. The other possibility, obviously, is to forget everything about it. You know, just put it on the side. But you don't throw the idea completely out. You go back at the things that you know. So what I know, although I don't know anything about biological molecules, I know about much simpler quantum systems, like qubits, meaning systems with 2 quantum states or 3 quantum states. These are things that I know pretty well. So then I asked myself, how could I construct very small thermal machines, like a small refrigerator? Where small, I mean that it has very few quantum states. You see, when you talk about something being big or small, you can refer to how heavy it is or how large it is. But quantum mechanics gives you an absolute way of defining something small. Is something with a small number of quantum states. And then you have to deal with it. Well, actually, once you start asking this, you want to ask an even more precise question. Namely, what are the smallest possible? Not enough to just think of a small one, but think, is there an ultimate limit of how small I can make? For example, a refrigerator. Is there an ultimate limit in nature for how small it can be? Now, you may think that asking about the smallest possible may be a more difficult question than asking just make a small one. Doesn't need to be the smallest. Actually, the moment you ask a fundamental question, you get rid of all kinds of unnecessary detail. And sometimes that turns out to be an easier question. So from this moment on, I forgot everything about biology that would have no connection with biology whatsoever during my class. And suddenly my direction of research turned out to this particular question. Okay. Now, when I talk about the smallest one, I want it to be self-contained. Now, as you will see, there are many experiments in which you cool down small systems. For example, in optics and molecular labs, people cool down atoms. Maybe atoms move very, very slowly and they reach very, very small temperatures. But in that case, you have a big laser that cools them. So if you really want to find what is the smallest, you want to account for all the pieces. And in that case, you should count the big laser that is there. So we want to make sure that we are talking about something that is self-contained. So no, in particular, no external source of work, no external source of organized energy that I put in. For example, even your refrigerator at home, you just plug it into the power supply, but then you have to count also the big power station that gave you the supply. There is one more issue here, mostly for quantum information guys, but I will skip over that. So here there are main questions. How to construct very small thermal engines? What is the minimal size? How well do they work? Is there some complementarity between size and efficiency, and so on? By the way, just before going forward, when I say I want it self-contained, I do not allow any way in which I can put work into it, organize energy. However, no thermal machine can work, this is not, unless you have some sources of heat. So what I would allow disorganized energy to come into it. So I would allow these systems to be in contact with one or two thermal reservoirs. They need to dissipate the energy, for example. A refrigerator has to take the energy from the object it wants to cool and throw it into the room. So you need to have the room as a place where to throw it. So you need some two sources of energy, but in form of heat bath, the environment, not an organized. Okay, so let me first tell you how a heat engine works. Here is an example. This is the simplest example I know. So suppose you have a box here that contains gas. These are the gas molecules. And what they do, they just bounce back and forth. And they have some sort of average speed given by the temperature. Now, you would like to use this movement of the molecules in order to do something organized. For example, you would like to lift a weight. So here's how you can imagine. Suppose you put a paddle wheel inside, so the molecules can hit this wheel, and the wheel may turn. Once the wheel turns, you wind up a string with a weight there, and if the wheel turns in one direction, it will lift the weight. So this is an idea of how you can extract energy on this thing. Now, unfortunately, like this it doesn't work, because some molecules will hit the wheel from one side, the others may hit it from the other side, so they may hit it clockwise, anti-clockwise, so the wheel will just oscillate, meaning the weight will go up and down and up and down, not a regular movement in one direction. Okay, so here's how you may attempt to solve this. Suppose you hook up this paddle wheel with an axis, and here you have an arrangement of a ratchet and ball type. So you have a wheel with teeth that are non-symmetric. They have a shallow slope and a big slope there. And this is a little stick with a spring. So what's the idea now? When a molecule hits the paddle wheel to try to move it clockwise, then the wheel here moves clockwise. As it moves, this tooth pushes up the little stick, and then the stick falls after the tooth. So the wheel can move this way. On the other hand, if a molecule from there pushes the wheel anti-clockwise, that will force this wheel to move anti-clockwise, but it cannot. It gets stuck there with a little stick. So it cannot move. Which means only when it is pushed clockwise it turns, when it's pushed anti-clockwise it doesn't. So overall by now the wheel will just move clockwise and is able to lift the weight if you just put it here with a spring. So this is how a thermal machine may work. I say may because here we also have a problem. The problem is that when the wheel moves clockwise, the tooth pushes under the stick then comes back after the tooth passes. But it doesn't stay there. It starts bouncing up and down. And at a certain moment, after a couple of turns, it will bounce quite a lot. And now sometimes it may happen that the stick is up when the wheel wants to move, anti-clockwise. So now both movements are possible. Okay, here's how you solve that problem. You just put the spring in another box with gas at a lower temperature lower than T1. That means the molecules here, they move slower than the molecules there. Now, being colder essentially damps the movement of the spring, because the spring hits the molecules and dissipates its energy over there. So now, the stick will no longer bounce, but will just stay down. And this is the way in which a thermal engine actually works. So the main ingredients are the following. You have one bath at temperature T1, another one at temperature T2. Some of the energy now that is taken from those molecules come into lifting up the weight, but some of the other energy has to be dissipated in T2. And you have a constraint here that makes everything move one direction. So this is the way in which a big machine works. Now I try to apply these basic ideas to a small machine.
Wouldn't you also have, due to this strategy, the asymmetry that those molecules that come to full direction in the opposite direction, there will be back reaction, so there will be flux in the molecules in the first box?
Yes, but overall, when you account precisely, of course there will be, energy will fluctuate a little bit forward and backward between them, but basically, on the average, there will be energy that moves into that direction. If you see, when this is here, and you try to move it backwards, it will not move. That means it is like a very solid object, and the molecule there will just bounce as if from a standing wall. It will not gain energy.
Therefore, you will have uneven flux in the first box.
Yes, more molecules moving in one way than the other. But they will not gain energy the moment this one cannot move. It's just like
but you say the system will be in equilibrium, the first box.
Well, by now they will no longer be in equilibrium because there is a flux of energy coming from here to there and from here to the weight. And everything will go.
Well, after one it will randomize because it will bounce off the wall.
Oh, the atoms here get randomized, and the atoms there get randomized because they bounce into the wall. So although there is a flux in one way, but then they collide with all the others. So the molecules always randomize inside the box. Okay, but now I want us to use these lessons here to go to the smaller system. So here the small system is a system that has two energy eigenstates, a ground state and an excited state. And I imagine that this is surrounded by some bath of temperature T1. That I didn't draw yet. Then put inside some object of temperature T1. Now, what is happening with this quantum system is that it spends some time on the lowest energy state. Sometimes a molecule inside the bath hits it and it excites and it goes on the upper energy state, then it excites and comes back, and on average spends a longer time on the ground state than on the excited state. If the higher the energy is, the more often it's bounced up in the excited state, so the probability of being excited becomes larger. When it is colder, it will spend most of the time on the ground state. So what I would like to do with it, I would like to make sure that I want to cool it, so I want to make it stay on the ground state as much as possible. So here's a way in which you can imagine doing that. Take another system, and this would be hopefully my refrigerator. This is also put inside an environmental temperature T1. And now I want to couple an interaction. I put them interact, these two systems, in such a way that when this one goes down, this one is pushed up. Like two weights put with a string over a pulley. When one goes down, the other one goes up, and vice versa. So now the physics is, sometimes this molecule just oscillates from the ground state to the excited states alone by interacting with its own environment. The same thing happens to this one. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down alone. But in addition, you also have this coupled interaction. One going down, one going up. So the idea is that I open a new way for my system of interest to lose energy just by passing it to somebody else. So if this will work, it means that my qubit will spend a longer time on the ground state and it will be cold. Unfortunately, this doesn't work because there exists also the opposite thing. You see, they are very symmetric. So now, if I have this one excited and this one in the ground, this one can now go down and push the other one back. And in fact, it's one basic property of nature that says that the coupling constant for this to happen is exactly the same as for the other to happen. This is one of the basic symmetries of nature. In quantum mechanics, this is translated into the fact that Hamiltonians are Hermitian. Otherwise, there will be in nature just one clear drift towards in one direction. But nature is quite symmetric. When you put two systems that are symmetric, we can do this, we can do that. Now, in order to put some asymmetry, I can do that. If instead, let me put it here. Here is one way in which I can get rid of the unwanted red transition. Suppose that whenever my refrigerator ends up excited, I just take this by hand and I move it down. In that case, my system is already in the ground state, and the refrigerator is no longer excited so that it can push this. It will go down and push the other one up, but I just move it by hand down. But then I have to count my hand. So here's how I can do it in practice. Suppose I take my refrigerator and I put it at a temperature T2 smaller than T1. That means that sometimes, when this is excited, it will interact with its environment and will drag it down, the interaction with the environment, to the ground state. And now it is no longer in place for this coupled red transition to occur. The green one will occur, and the green one is the one that I like, because it takes my system down to the ground state. But the red one will no longer occur. So that means that if I do this system with my system of interest with two energy eigenstates, and my refrigerator two energy eigenstates, and I put a refrigerator at a temperature T2 lower than T1, I succeed to pull T1. Good. So far so good. But you may spot that there is a little problem here. This is not a bigger refrigerator, but it is an ice cube. It already starts at a temperature T2 smaller than T1. So then there is no wonder that putting it in contact with that one will lower its temperature. But you already see the constraint. Unless this system is on the excited state, the unwanted transition does not occur. So I just want to get rid of that. We already start seeing the basic elements here. But here's how you actually do it. And this is the smallest possible refrigerator. This is the system that I want to do. So I want this spend a long time on its lower state. My refrigerator consists of two qubits, that is two systems, each of them having two energy eigenstates. The ratio of energies is that E2 equals the sum of E3 plus E1. Each of them is surrounded by some environment. In this case, I put all of them at temperature T1. And the interaction between them is a triple interaction. It goes like this. I can de-excite my system of interest together at the same time with this qubit and push the middle one up. So the two sidewalls go down in energy and push the middle one up. Unfortunately, the red one, when this one, the middle one, goes down in energy and pushes energy in the others, is equally lucky. So if they are at the same temperature, the system will not work. In order to get rid of this transition, I have now two possibilities. Either to try to remove the middle one from the excited state of the ground, so that they are not ground excited ground, or actually to remove this one from the ground state and put it excited. And that I can do by raising the temperature of this guy. So now, I will no longer have the unwanted situation in which the middle qubit is excited and the two side ones are the ground. And if they are not all in place, then the red transition cannot occur. The green transition can. So that means that I'm able to push this down on the ground state in and cool. The energy is passed to the middle one and then dissipated into its environment. In fact, the middle qubit here acts as the spiral on the back of your fridge at home. If you put a hand on the back of the fridge, you find that it is hot. There is all the heat that you take from the object inside that you want to cool, and it gets dissipated inside the room. Okay? And this is the engine, is the thing that drives it. A little bit in fact, all you want to do, so here are the basic transitions that occur. The green transitions is for excited, ground, excited, to go to ground, excited, ground, backward and forward. And you can put 3 different temperatures if you want, but all you need is that the transition in which the side ones go down and the middle one goes up to be more often than the opposite one. The green transition occurs where this one is excited and that one is excited, and the middle one is ground. Now, if you recognize this factor, this is the Boltzmannian probability of having different energies when the system has temperature T1. So the probability for the middle one to be excited is E2 minus E1 over K1. The probability of these to be excited is E2 minus E3 over K3. And that is the total probability that they both are excited. And I would like that to be larger than the probability that the middle one is excited and pushes the wrong transition. So whenever I get that relation between the probabilities, my machine acts as a refrigerator. Good. Now, the smallest possible heat factor. You see, in the first example, with the wheel and so on, the classical one, I showed you how it can produce work. You can make a machine that does something. First, people that made machines like that were all making big steam engines that would move things. But then I discussed about refrigerators. The reason I did discuss first about the refrigerator was because in my mind it was not very clear what I mean by a small engine producing see, if you already learn a little bit about statistical mechanics and thermodynamics, you know that heat is sort of disorganized energy. You put energy in a disorganized way, like molecule bouncing back and forth. While work, if you put energy in an organized way, move or weave, throw stuff or do something. Now, when talking about small systems, a small number of states, what is organized and what is disorganized is a bit unclear. But of course, much later I realized that all I want is my machine to be small, not the system into which I plug. So here's the question. I want to put this generic thing to have two temperature buttons, the hot and the cold, and to lift the weight. The weight could be macroscopic. The machine, however, has to be small. So here's how I model. This is my weight. My weight I model as a system that has many, many different energy levels. Like pushing up a weight, step by step, exactly like my original wheel was moving a tooth at a time. So this is my quantum system. And here is my machine. My machine, again, is nothing else than two systems, each of them with two quantum states, two qubits. One at temperature T2, one at temperature T3. And here's my interaction. The middle one can go down in energy, it will absorb energy from its environment, and then it becomes excited and goes from the excited state down, while pushing the energy into my system of interest and into the third qubit. So this is the equivalent of the box with the hot molecules moving something. This is the box with the cold one, and this is the weight that it gets raised. Only that the number of quantum systems is very small, and I have this constrained energy. So now whenever I have a transition down, things get pushed up. Of course, I don't want the ramp transition to occur. So for that I need the probability of this one to be excited, to come down and push the system up, to be larger than the probability that this one is excited, in which case this goes down, drags this one down, and gives the energy to crush. So once these two temperatures are in the ratio that E2 over T2 is larger than or smaller than E3 over T3, the system acts as an engine. What is the efficiency? Here's an interesting question. As I described at the beginning, it is impossible when I have two baths at two different temperatures to use the entire energy from the hot bath to lift the weight. Part of that energy had to go, I need to cool the spring, so it had to be dissipated. Now, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, when this problem was started, the question was, perhaps by using better design, I can minimize, I can take to zero the amount of heat that I have to dissipate, to waste by cooling a spring. And it was one of the great moments in physics when Sandu Popescu realized that that cannot be made as small as we want. But there is a certain ratio, and there is a minimum amount of energy that has to be dissipated. You cannot do better than that. And that is called the maximum possible efficiency of any thermal machine. Now, of course, in order to obtain that, you need to design your machine very well. If you are a bad designer, you come nowhere close to that maximal efficiency. Bad machines can always be designed. A good one is more difficult. In any case, now we are faced here with a different problem. I want to ask about the efficiency of the smallest possible machine. Now, that means that I'm facing some design constraints. I'm not allowed to design anything that I want. I want the smallest. So this raises the question, perhaps I cannot come anywhere close to the maximum efficiency because of my design constraints. So perhaps, in quantum mechanics we are very used in the idea that we have complementarity between position and momentum. If we know one, we don't know the other, and so on. So perhaps it is the case that I can reach maximal efficiency if I have an infinite number of states at my disposal and I can design whatever I want. But as I decrease the number of states, I decrease the efficiency. So there is some sort of trade-off between number of states and efficiency. This seems to be a very natural hypothesis. So the question is, what is the real answer? By the way, here is the maximum efficiency, which says that the amount of work divided, so the fraction of energy put in work versus the energy taken from the hot bath, it's not 1, but it is 1 minus the ratios of temperatures. This is the basic formula for efficiency of energy. So is there a size efficiency complementarity? And the answer is actually no. So very surprising, even the smallest machine can be engineered in such a way as to reach maximum efficiency. How do you do that? Let's come to the machine. Okay, one thing is known about the machines that reach maximum efficiency. These are reversible machines. They are machines that can move one way or the other way equally lightly. They don't dissipate things, they don't have friction, you try to minimize all those things. So the maximal efficiency is obtained at reversible machines. Now, reversible machine is equally likely to go forward as backward. So if you have the same idea and you look here, remember, going forward meant that I push my system of interest up. I also push this side system up by using the energy from the middle one. And going backwards is that my system actually drops. It extracts some energy also from here and pushes everything back to the middle here. So it is reversible when that green transition and the red transition are equally likely. So all I have to do is to make the probability of the middle fluid to be excited the same as the probability of the side fluid to be excited. Meaning, if I use the Boltzmannian distribution, E minus EP over KT3 equals E minus EP over KT2. Those are the probabilities of the excited. Which is nothing else than, from here, the exponentials are the same, the exponents are the same. So all I need is E3 over T3 equals E2 over T2. That, together with the fact that the ratios of energy, E1 plus E2 equals E2, so that I have conservation of energy. And there is one more interesting ingredient here. These energies are just the separation in energy of the quantum levels. They are not how much energy the thing consumes. How much energy the thing consumes depends on how fast it comes. It may move faster, it may consume more. But one thing I know, everything comes in big portions. So whenever this one eats a portion of energy E2, this one apart E3 is dumped there and E1 is dumped there. They always came in the same ratio. So although I don't know for any of these refrigerators how much it goes in time, but I know that the ratio of, say, the heat that is taken from food and the heat dumped in is the same as the ratio of energy level separations between them. It always comes in the same portions. So I can replace energy level difference by heat and work. And you obtain immediately the formula for the maximal efficiency. So the smallest machine can actually reach the maximum efficiency. It's a more interesting question. What do I actually mean by work? You see, we discussed that work is pumping energy in something in an organized way, rather than heat that is pumping energy in something in a disorganized way. But there is something more to say about this that came from looking at these machines. Let me look again at this system. But suppose that instead of looking at the system here like a wave that I can push it up as much as I want, I just focus on only two energy levels. And there is no more energy levels. And I let this machine work on my new system. What will now happen? So what will happen is that this one is pushed upwards. And at a certain moment, I will have more population up here than down. That is when I start to work. The way, if it will be unlimited, it will just go up. Like this, if I have a ceiling, it gets stuck at the ceiling. So I produce population inversion. Now, this is my point. Work is nothing else than producing population inversion. Now, for those of you that already learned about lasers and atomic physics, you know that population inversion is one of the basic notions in lasers. But that is sort of a side, small issue in impact physics. Well, work is one of the basic concepts in physics, is one of the main important notions. Energy, work, forces, and so on. So my claim is that actually they are one and the same thing. Producing population inversion is doing work. And doing work is always producing population inversion. And once you understand that, many things fall into place. But I will have something more to say about this. Here is now, once we learn about how to construct these machines, here's something more interesting. What do actually these machines do? And what they do is something important. Look again at the structure. We know that the transitions are between ground-excited ground to excited ground-excited. Now, this whole system, in fact, has 8 possible states. You have excited, 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 ground-excited, all kinds of combinations. In fact, even more interesting, let me look. My system of interest is the first one, ground and excited. And when it goes from one ground to excited, my engine goes from excited ground to ground excited. The engine does this. So, the engine has 4 possible states. Ground, ground, excited, excited, excited ground, or ground excited. But I'm not using all those states. I'm using only 2 of them. Excited ground and ground excited. So I can just look from this engine to only 2 of the states, the 2 that are of importance for me. Now, the energy of this state, excited ground, is E2, if I consider the ground state to be 0. And this one is E3, because the second one is excited. E3 is smaller than E2. And I can call this one as an excited state, and this one is a ground state, because this has more energy than that. And in fact, the difference between the energy of this and that is E2 minus E3. So it is in fact the same as the difference just a virtual qubit, a virtual two-level system of the composite machine. And what is happening is I have my system of interest that is put in contact with a virtual thing, with a two-level system inside the machine. Only those two levels contribute. The other levels, excited, and ground, are irrelevant. They have the same energy difference, and they are essentially put in thermal contact, because when this excites, this one gets excited. When this one excites, the other one gets excited. They are just two objects put in ordinary thermal contact with each other. That is what I see when I simplify my machine. Instead of the two separate qubits interacting with the bath and having the transition, I just look at these two composite states of the system. And then everything becomes much simpler. In fact, my system of interest acts only with this thing in the machine. Now, I can define, looking at the population, these two being on the ground state and on the excited state, I can define something that I call a virtual temperature. The virtual temperature, via the Boltzmannian distribution that tells me what are the populations on ground and excited, defines me a temperature. You see, if I go back, whenever you have whenever you want to look at the population of one level, the probability of being excited is like the difference in energies in the ground and excited divided by the temperature. Now here, I can define a probability of being ground or excited to be, because I can calculate what is the probability of being excited versus ground, and then defines for me a virtual temperature. After a little bit of algebra, you see that the virtual temperature has this particular expression. What is important is that the virtual temperature can be anything. Everything is built up of the temperature of the two baths, T2 and T3. But the virtual temperature is a more complicated formula. And in fact, it could be larger than the hottest one, it could be colder than the coldest, or it could be even negative. Now, my machine, my virtual qubit of the machine is put in thermal contact with my system. If T virtual is smaller than the cold temperature of the two baths, then this acts as a refrigerator. It cools it down. If it is hotter, it will act as a heat pump. If it is negative, and it can even become negative if you look at these two ratios, then it will be an engine. So if you look at the machine itself, the machine, and you clean it up, you throw out all the details, and you see that there are just two composite states of the machine that play a role. Then all you have is a pure thermal contact, and depending on what is the temperature of the machine, then you know what will happen to your system. In fact, if you go one step even further, and this will be the last part of my talk, the last slide. Here you have everything in detail. This is a system that you want to do something with. And it may be in contact with its own thermal bath. Here are the two qubits of the machine, and they are in contact with their own thermal bath. The machine contains only two levels, this qubit and that qubit. But of course the bath contains many, many levels. They are big systems. They are very dense. You have all kinds of energies. The ratio of population between any two levels here at the bath, it's just the Boltzmannian distribution. And it's a pretty boring thing. It's nice, it's interesting, but ultimately it's pretty boring. The same thing here. But remember, my machine actually interacts with those baths. There is one part of the machine interacting with a hot bath, the other one with a cold bath, and the other one with the system. So instead of looking at my two baths independently, I would like to look at my two baths as a composite system and talk about the energy levels of this composite system and the population of the energy levels of the composite. So when I do that, I see here is my original system, here is the environment of the original system, so those parts. But here I look at the composite. In the composite, I have all kinds of composite energy levels. This is the virtual qubit of the machine. Out of the 4 states of the machine, I'm looking only at those 2 that interest me. And they are in contact with some levels like this inside the composite bath. So here is ultimately what happens in thermodynamics. Don't look at the 2 thermal baths separately. Look at them as a composite. When you look at the composite, you see that you have different levels, different composite levels inside. And the racial population between them correspond to various temperatures. You have some levels at one temperature, other levels at other. In fact, you have levels at all possible temperatures inside. And all that your machine does is somehow to couple precisely to those levels that have the temperature that you are interested in. If you are interested to cool, then you couple to some levels that have the virtual temperature colder than the temperature of the environment, so that you will cool this down. If you want a heat pump, you couple to something that is hot. If you want to make an inversion, you couple to some levels that are already inverted in the bath. So the lesson is that in 2 ordinary big baths, the temperature T1 and T2, if you look as a composite, you have all possible temperatures in there. And all that you do by the thermal engine is to couple to those that have the temperature that you are interested in. And you just put them into direct thermal contact with the object that you want to cool or warm or invert. And everything is just a pure thermal contact between the bath, via the machine, to your system of interest, and to its environment. And now you can do all the calculations just by discussing this ordinary thermal contact with 4 bodies. No machinery, nothing moving. When you clean it down to its basic essence, this is all that happens. And now just the final remark. You see something interesting. Suppose I want a maximally efficient refrigerator. Well, that goes only when the virtual temperature is the same as the temperature of the environment. So essentially it doesn't cool at all. The reason why that is the point where it works efficiently is that if you would put 2 bodies of different temperatures into contact, that is irreversible. So the maximal efficiency is when you barely cool the thing. But remember, this virtual temperature depends on the energy levels that you have and on the temperature of the 2 baths. There's not too much liberty to play. If you modify the levels, you modify the virtual. So in fact, it is only systems with 2 levels that generates, and this T virtual you have no liberty. Must be the same as the environment. So it is in fact only the smallest thermal machine that could reach maximum efficiency. We started by saying perhaps because I'm constrained, I cannot reach maximum efficiency with a small engine. Now the claim is reversed. It is only the smallest engine that can reach Carnot efficiency. And in fact, every macroscopic engine that goes towards maximal efficiency does it by decoupling all its other states and effectively becoming just a 2-level machine. So I think that I will stop here. I'm sorry I probably went a little bit over the time to start later. But I think that looking from this point of view changes completely the way in which we understand thermodynamics. And at present, there is a sort of revolution going on in thermodynamics in the last 2 years, where all the basic notions are revisited. And it is a very, very exciting time to work on the subject. But enough of today. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. Any questions?
How do you religion see the law of thermodynamics in this approach?
Well, in this approach, this is a limited approach from that point of view, in the sense that you do not want to explain where the Boltzmann distribution of the bulk originates from. You take, in this part of the approach, you take that as a given. In order to really explain the second law, you have to explain that part as well. So, here you can look only over consistency of the second law, given the fact that the two thermal baths are already Boltzmannian, that everything else works perfectly, and this you can see how the engine actually works. To take a step and to explain actually the second law, you have to really look at everything. You have to explain where the Boltzmannian of the bath comes from.
So you don't need to modify second law?
No, you don't need to modify second law. You are fully consistent with that. Now, that being said, during the last year there were very great, quite a lot of progress in explaining the second law, but that's not part of this talk. That discusses take systems and see how it works.
When you come in there about the 9 minutes, how what is the efficiency?
Yes. Okay. One. Yes. Okay. Yes. Now, one thing that is known about thermal engines. The question was, what is the relation between the speed with which a machine goes and the efficiency? One thing we know for ordinary big machines is that in order to become almost reversible, so to increase the efficiency, the machine actually has to become very slow. Imagine a machine having a piston. If you move the piston fast, you get shock waves, you dissipate things more than what you want. So in fact, a machine that is maximally efficient is very, very bad. It will take an infinite long time to do something. You have to move it so slowly that it barely moves. Now, here, what is interesting is that I can separate the issue of efficiency from the issue of timing. So if I would go back to one of these models, such a model, you have all kinds of coupling constants coming into the game. So this system is in contact with its own environment, and you have some coupling constant related to that. This is in contact with its own environment, this is in contact with its own environment. You also have the strength of the interaction between all the three. It's a big mess to compute the speed in which it works. What is, however, beautiful is that you can decouple completely the question of the speed from the question of efficiency, which has to do only with the probabilities that come. It's very surprising that a problem can be simplified. And the ratios of energies become independent on the question of speed.
The point is to try to make a simple transfer that will be the position.
Well, then you run into zero paradox. So this thing works in the regime in which I want to be able to describe everything by the Boltzmannian. So I mean, the coupling I make with its own environment is rather small, because otherwise I cannot also, I take the interaction between them to be relatively small, because otherwise we'll have broadening of the energy levels, and we have to take care of that. So whenever the coupling to the environment and the interaction coefficient between them is small, then you are in this region. No. Okay, but even here, that can be. That is, you really have to look. Yes. Absolutely. That is always, but that is a far more complicated thing. I'm not able to yet to discuss the connection of the time with this. Some connection. Oh, that would be very interesting. Yes. Well, that I don't know yet, but definitely the simplest engine. So if things can be simplified, definitely this is the model that you have to use in order to see how time scales work. Absolutely. Yes. Indeed. Indeed. Yes, that would be very interesting, because we know a couple of things. We know that the evolution of quantum states depends very much on the energy of the states, on the spread of the energy. So we have a system that is in an energy eigenstate doesn't move. In order for a system to move, it needs to be a superposition of different energies. Once you take a superposition of different energies, you start having mismatches of energy here. So if you want to increase the speed, you start having mismatches, and we might see connection between the speed and the energy. Yeah. Well, that will be very, very exciting to see. This is how far we will go. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So this is a very, very good place. So by no means is this problem finished. So that is important to say. I believe that this is, at present, one of the most exciting areas of research. This one and a number of other related issues. And in fact, by now, so everything exploded in the last 2 years, essentially, in this area. And it's very exciting to be in such a time. But what I found, there are other things that are interesting. There are other things that decouple. For example, you may want to look at an engine. You see, when we look at a couple of things here. Let me draw this T virtual. So this is, remember, T virtual was this expression. So T virtual depends on the energy separation of the qubits and the temperature of the bath. So if I put on the x-axis the temperature of one of the baths, and I draw T virtual for some fixed energy ratios, let me draw here a helping line T3 and another line at 45 degrees. So here's something interesting. This is T virtual is this blue curve. Here's what you get. In this region, T virtual is smaller than T3, and it is smaller than T2, because this is 45 degrees, T virtual equals T2. So here your engine acts as a refrigerator. In this region, T virtual is larger than virtual is negative, so it can act as a heat engine, will produce inversion. The most efficient machines, efficient in the sense of how much energy is converted into work, occurs when the temperature is essentially infinite. Infinite temperature means all the energy levels are equally populated and you go backward and forward equally. Now, as you see, that occurs, it's in some sense the most efficient but also the weakest machine. It's weak because as you modify one of the temperatures just a little bit, it ceases to work. It's no longer negative temperature. It's an asymptote. It breaks now. And then, so when it is most efficient, the heat engine can either raise a weight or lower, and it just fluctuates up and down. The moment I break it just a little bit, it just falls. So in this sense, it's the weakest. Now you may ask another question. Look, suppose I increase temperature T2, so now I'm in a more negative regime. You see, when we talk about negative temperature, the more bias you get is the closer you get to zero on the opposite side. The more things you put on the higher level. So when I have a machine going here, if I put a ceiling to it, it will get more stuck to the ceiling, this weight that I raise. So somehow I have more force to push things at higher things. That might be coupled also with a higher rate in time, but we don't know. But at least this question is decoupled from the question of the rate, at least at this time. So there are many, many issues here.
Well, one of them, for instance, is you have negative temperature, so you can't really cause thermodynamic temperature.
Well, this is the virtual temperature. Right. My system has two ordinary temperatures.
Once it becomes negative, this is not temperature.
No. Sorry, my systems have regular temperatures. The baths are regular. This is the virtual temperature of this.
Yes, what
Is this mathematically defined thing?
And how thermodynamic is virtual temperature? It's just a number? I mean, this is just a convenient device, so it actually has...
Oh, it has thermodynamic meaning if you look at the population of various levels. So the population of the levels in the composite bath, if you look at the two temperature baths as one object, you ask about the population and their energy levels, they are inverted.
I understand, but it's not like you have to look at all rules, and one of them is you cannot have negative temperature.
These are virtual temperatures. These are virtual temperatures. If you want, it's a mathematical device. It is in fact a physical device which says, when I look at these two individual baths as a single object, and I ask what is the population of them, which is the composite between this one being excited and this one being excited, then you will get these mathematical values. The population. It is very physical because in fact you couple to that level. It's a far more interesting way of thinking about thermodynamics.
Well, we should look for anything in thermodynamics which is consistent with experiment.
Oh, it's absolutely consistent. This is another way of looking at ordinary positive temperature. I'm not talking about negative.
That's what I'm asking.
No.
Why do you call it even commercial temperature?
Because it has all the physical properties of a negative temperature. The population ratio is like this. The way in which the entropy moves when you put heat in, generally you put heat into an object and the entropy increases. If the temperature is negative, you put heat into it and the temperature decreases. Or if the entropy decreases. So it has all the properties that you would associate with a negative temperature. So it has all the properties that you better implement
Except we don't have negative temperature.
Well, you don't have, but it behaves as it, and it is much better to become.
Okay, the next question is, you said you would actually answer
Well, no, in fact, to be more correct, it's the 2 qubits, the engine that these 2 qubits, these 2 qubits have 4 states. I can do it with 3 states within 3. That is the minimum.
Right, but I don't want to much bigger of a question because you need to set up this key path.
Look, any thermal engine requires heat bath. So, the rules of the game, without heat bath, it will never work. Nothing works.
So, don't you think it's a little bit misleading to say the smallest omega is just these 2 qubits?
No, because I set up the rules of the game from the beginning. I told you I'm not allowing organized work. I'm not allowing organized work pushing energy. That is work. I don't allow this also work. But no engine works without free energy. So, the rules of the game is I allow thermal bath. Now, what is the system that couples to that? This is the smallest system that couples to that.
And you say you want your key path.
No, because that is a given. Without that, you cannot do thermodynamics.
We need to go higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.